understand that what is the root of all evil? It's this love of money. It's too alluring. It's too enticing. It's too tempting. We cannot resist. We love money. Left to our own evil devices, and that's our propensity. That's our tendency. Okay, that's our inclination as just brute beasts, as just carnal people, physical people, okay, living in this temporal. We don't think ahead. We don't think about, dying. When you're young, you think about it even less. You think you're immortal, right? When you're young and everything's coming up roses, it's all looking good to you, but listen, it goes by fast, okay? And you realize that, look, it's just one day closer to death. That's it. And you're getting closer. There's nothing, not a damn thing you can do about it. And your odds keep going up of the day of reckoning coming to you and having to stand in front of your maker and answer for your philosophies, your beliefs, or your lack thereof. If you say, well, it just hurt my head and stressed me out, so I chose not to think about these matters because it was just too overwhelming. And so, I prescribe to an ignorance is bliss philosophy, and it's gotten me by very well. Because, even though I care about people, I just, I just overwhelmed me, and I just assumed that people just had to do what I did. So I set an example, and I went to college, and I got a good degree, and I made a lot of money, and, I helped myself. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and it's somebody else's problem, and I can't worry about the fact that it just keeps getting harder and harder and harder as the bar keeps getting lifted higher and higher through crony capitalism, and the nut keeps getting harder and harder to crack. Okay? I can't deal with it. I mean, I guess it's just capitalism, so blame capitalism, and now I understand why people love socialism, right? That's what they'll say, even though they're big fat capitalists. They've prescribed to the system completely by imbibing and indulging in it and just saying, this is the way, this is the way. But out of the other side of their mouth, they'll say, yeah, I think the socialists are right, and I vote socialist, and this, we've got to have the Robin Hood thing. We got to take from the haves and give to the have-nots. Okay? So, it's the capitalist's fault, but in the meantime, I'm not going to let the capitalists run roughshod over me, so I'm going to indulge in this, and I'm going to be invested in the stock market and this and that and the next thing, and I'm going to, not let them get me. I'm not going to be the weakest link. I'm not going to be taken out by this social Darwinistic goings on that in society, by these social Darwinian goings on in society. Okay, this rat race, dog eat dog thing. And so you understand the problems we have, they run deep. That's why I say we're in a lot of trouble. And to this day, until you start seeing your cost of living tax going down in an appreciable degree, an appreciable degree for a period of time, okay, where you can actually look on a graph and say we're on a new trajectory now, okay, and the worm has turned, the ship has turned, the tide has turned. And you could say, and everybody starts getting it. The mainstream media starts saying, hey, yeah, this is a good thing, that the only way you can see your currency go up in worth, of course, is what we all want. We want the buying power of our money to go up. It's a simple, this is stuff a child understands. If you had to pay $1 for a pack of gum when it was difficult to produce and the demand was high, supply and demand, right? And there was only one gum manufacturer, right? And had no competition, they could pretty much get whatever they wanted to if the demand was high enough. I mean, within reason, because people aren't going to pay that much for chewing gum. But this is something a child can relate to. Say, well, I get $1 a week allowance, and, I'd gladly spend my $1 for that pack of chewing gum, right? Not realizing that, in a few years that gum was going to go to 10 cents because there was competition. And so the initial gum manufacturer couldn't extract that kind of bread, although they could before. Do you understand? Supply and demand. A child can understand it. Why the rhyme and reason, why that your gum price goes down and therefore your gum money goes up. Now you can buy 10 packs of gum for your $1. You understand what I'm saying? So even though the child didn't get any more allowance per week, but they were far more prosperous gum-wise, right? They could buy a lot more gum with their money. So it's that simple when it comes to understanding progress relative to capitalism. True capitalism is based on supply and demand and free market competition and risk and all that. It's not difficult. And you've got to understand what every nation, like Adam Smith pointed out in The Wealth of Nations, every nation's single greatest resource, every nation's single greatest asset is a willing workforce. And it stands to perfect logic, okay? Because absolutely nothing gets done without a willing workforce. Conversely, everything can get done with a willing workforce. Do you understand? It's child's play to understand the stuff I teach. It really is. But do people do it? No, largely we don't, because we're so screwed up from decades of crony capitalism. This country was stolen by the bankster interests, okay? Listen, JFK was in the process of nullifying, in fact, abolishing, extinguishing the Federal Reserve Bank. Do you understand? Back in 1963, 55 years ago, he was in the process. He had gotten so far that he was already circulating a currency to supplant the Federal Reserve notes called silver certificates, silver notes. He meant business. Okay, he wasn't playing around. He understood that in order to have true capitalism, you had to have these rules in play. You had to have progress defined relative to true capitalism. And the effect of true capitalism is a rising tide of prosperity across the board. It happens organically, naturally, automatically, without forcing it. If you don't meddle with it, this is the net result, is that your cost of living tax steadily goes down. And that means the taxes you pay to government entities also goes down. Your currency basically all the way around goes up in worth steadily, gradually, as we make progress as a society, a civilized society, as a family, as we make progress. You get richer automatically. You get more prosperous automatically. Okay. I mean, a prime example again would be building a house. To build these old Victorians they were building, I forget when, back in the 1800s, 1900s, when these beautiful Victorian houses you see all over California still restored. But you could see the craftsmanship. You could see the time that was spent on these beautiful homes, these exotic, beautiful homes. Was intense. The labor, man hours involved was intense, woman hours, whatever. And, it took a long, long time, and they were using tools that were obsolete, utterly obsolete by today's standards. People, the carpenters would laugh, they'd scoff at, how, what were they using? The hand drill? I mean, that's how they were drilling the holes? I mean, good grief, give me a break. Because it's literally 10 times as fast to do the job today with state-of-the-art tools. Now are you starting to understand the point I'm trying to get across here? We can stamp houses out literally like pancakes. We've got literally machines that can build homes. Do you understand the implications of what I'm saying here? People say, oh, well, that'd be really bad. Think of all those jobs we'd lose. You understand? They got you mind F worrying about your job. You understand how stupid that is? I mean, with that argument, let's go back a couple hundred years, back to, plowing a field with ox, 1,000 men out there with ox and plow, okay, versus one combine today that a farmer's driving down the field, digging it up, okay? Do you understand the madness of that argument? That illogic, that sick logic, that twisted logic, okay? It's stupid. We need not worry about our stupid jobs. Let the freaking machines have it. Okay, if somebody comes up with a machine that can scoop up dog crap, okay, everybody's going to want one, particularly the guys that are tasked with picking up dog crap right now. And they're working on it. I got a nephew who just got a high degree in engineering and physics, and he told me that was one of the projects. Yeah, that's a great idea, man. And we were talking about what it would take, a camera, how you can identify the poop from other things. And, maybe it should be by odor, I was thinking, so you use an odor sensor. So you key in, key in what poop smells like, okay, dog poop. And so it goes around, because if you've got high grass, a camera might not be the best way to go. It might be very hard to identify a dog turd from a leaf. Okay, and it might be covered up by leaves, so it's got to, be something to sense it. But look, they're working on it, is the point. So, the people that are, are paid right now to pick up dog crap, now they tell the owner of the property, look, you're going to have to get a machine. This is a distasteful job, and I'll maintain the machine. I'll load it with bags and add water so it can, whatever. If the machine can't do those things, because it's got to be able to rinse itself off, because it's just what everybody has to do with a pooper scooper. You've got to rinse the thing off after you use it, or it gets pretty gross pretty quick and attracts flies. It stinks, and it just, unseemly. So it needs to be able to rinse itself, and so you might need to load plastic bags so the machine, so it'd be like printer ink, like you load a printer with ink, and it would be the kind of bags that were made for it. But I think a front loader, so it could pick up the turds and just dump them into the bag, and when it was full, you could periodically just check, and it could have a lid so that you don't have to smell it and it doesn't attract flies. Do you understand? So, I mean, just rudimentarily, I've already thought this through, and of course there's people smarter than me with degrees out there that are working on this. So it's going to come about that there's going to be a piece of machinery that's going to be able to pick up dog crap. So would we ever go back to scooping it by hand once there's machines that can do it? Maybe they can solar power themselves. If they stationed outside, maybe the lid that covers the compartment that keeps the dog crap in the plastic bag can be solar powered. So the thing can go and scout the yard automatically. You set it on a timer, and it knows its bounds by automation. We all know that those automation devices have been around a long time, that they could sense the edge of a table and they could turn before they hit the edge. So, this is almost ancient technology I'm talking about in terms of it finding its way around your yard looking for dog poop. Okay, so that's just one example of the point I'm trying to make here. And, you've got to understand that you've been duped, you've been taken. If anybody tells you that, supply and demand means, well, you know what, I mean, this item used to be in demand. For example, VCRs used to be in demand, and now that everybody went to DVD players, that means the VCR makers need to charge more than they were charging because they're selling less of their product. This is the kind of mentality they want to drive home. They want you to believe that kind of crap. Do you understand? Oh, well, the poor VCR manufacturers, we need to subsidize them now. Otherwise, they're going to have to lay off all these people. Do you understand the madness? So everything's been turned on its head. Socialism, I mean, let's define socialism. People think of it as egalitarianism, but that's not what's going on. That's not what's been going on in Venezuela or China or Russia or any other socialist country in the world. It's based on the Robin Hood theory. It's based on the taking from the haves to give to the have-nots. And we know, self-evidently speaking, by empirical observation, evidence, that it absolutely doesn't work. We know that there's lawyers out there that protect the interests of the well-heeled. In other words, the well-heeled being those that can afford to comfortably pay the bills of society. The bills of society, right? Those tax obligations that are supposedly unavoidable. Okay, we got to pay for the wars, for defense, right? Fundamentally is what we're told. But we all know, if you listen to guys like G. Edward Griffin, this income tax is unconstitutional from the get-go. So who invented it? It was the Federal Reserve, you find out from listening to guys like G. Edward Griffin, always talking about this stuff. I totally agree with G. Edward Griffin. Okay, he knows what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't get into some of the stuff I get into because I'm so annoyed at just the mainstream media's lack of educating the people in a coherent manner that's actually going to take, and people are going to get it. They're going to say, aha, I get it. Cost of living deflation is what's going to make my currency worth more. But they come up with this crap like deflationary is depressionary, it's recessionary. If the price for something goes down, it's going to hurt the economy. Do you understand? No, it's not going to hurt your economy unless you're one of the vested interest, unless you're one of the special interest groups that has been benefiting from high cost of that commodity, that combination of commodity and services, because typically in order to make a commodity, it involves services too. So it's all part and parcel of the price you pay. But they don't do anything to help you understand. And, I really like G. Edward Griffin a lot because he doesn't shrink away. I mean, it's the most radical thing you can do is just point to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And the truth is we had a coup in 1963 when they took over. The Federal Reserve should never have been allowed to exist. The income tax is made up. This whole idea that we got to pay the bills. Look, get your money for your income taxes through trade. Okay, that's it. Just take it out of the tab. We, the people, are producing this stuff. We produce extra, and we can trade it with these other countries for the crap they make that we want.